Black Men in America podcast, hosted by O.G. Foxy. Welcome to Black Men in America podcast. I'm your host, O.G. Foxy. In this episode, we're dissecting Kamala Harris's vision for America and contrasting it with Donald Trump's controversial policies. So let's get started. Kamala said, Black men deserve a president who supports their aspirations and ambitions.
Poll came out yesterday that said, it was an ABC News poll, and it said that you're winning black men 85% and outperforming Biden by 14 points with black men from 2020. So,
yeah, I mean, listen, because I have said from the very beginning, black men are no different than any other voter. You have to earn their vote. And part of the challenge, I think, with the perspective in this narrative has been to suggest anybody's got black men in their pocket. No, you have to earn the vote, which is why I've been out talking with folks about not only my history of work that has had a positive impact, but also the work that has yet to be done, again, around lifting up the economic situation, helping young fathers with what they want to do to parent their children with an extension of the child tax credit to $6,000 for the first year of their child's life. What I intend to do that is about tapping into the desire for home ownership and a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. And that's why those numbers are 85%, Charlemagne, because folks know I have a genuine commitment based on hard work that I have already done to lift up the community versus, to your point, Donald Trump at Madison Square Garden last night with all those tropes versus Donald Trump, who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times for the Central Park Five, suggesting that these young black and brown, and they were not young men, they were children, should be executed. Donald Trump, who in New York as a landlord refused to rent to black families. Donald Trump, who called the first black president, called him out and suggested he was not born in the United States, and then most recently refers to black legal immigrants in Ohio as though they're eating their pets.
Donald Trump has proven he's a racist and could care less about black men and black people. Kamala said, when I am president, we will stop treating immigrants as an issue to scare up votes in an election.
Politicians have got to stop treating immigration as an issue to scare up votes in an election. And instead, treat it as the serious challenge that it is that we must finally come together to solve. I will work with Democrats and Republicans to sign into law the border security bill that Donald Trump killed. When I was Attorney General of a border state, I saw the chaos and violence caused by transnational criminal organizations that I took on. And when I am president, we will quickly remove those who arrive here unlawfully, prosecute the cartels, and give Border Patrol the support they so desperately need. At the same time, we must acknowledge we are a nation of immigrants. And I will work with Congress to pass immigration reform, including an earned path to citizenship for hardworking immigrants like farm workers and our dreamers.
Immigrants have never done anything to adversely affect my life. Vice President Harris said, let's clear up something on those stimulus checks.
Well, so I'm really glad you brought that up, Shannon. So first of all, let's clear up certain myths.
Okay.
You know those checks that went out?
Yes, those skimmies.
Right. Right.
Stimulus check.
Yeah, I know. Well, right. Yeah.
You got to be full. Stimulus, but they call them skimmies. Okay.
The reason those came about is because there was a Democratic majority in the House of Representatives and Congress. Mm-hmm. People like Maxine Waters, people like Hakeem Jeffries, right?
Yes.
Who did the work of pushing to say, people need help right now and we need to send out checks. There was a whole lot of opposition to it, including from Donald Trump's White House.
Yes, even him. I think he was resistant to it at first.
Yes. That's why those checks, remember, Congress holds the purse.
Yes.
So really, Congress wrote those checks. But then Donald Trump, unlike any president before or after, decided he put his name on those checks.
So therefore, people thought
Donald Trump, they gave me that check. And so let's clear that up first and foremost.
Okay.
Trump hoped by putting his name on those checks, it would buy him the election. Vice President Harris said, "We are all here because we are fighting for democracy."
And let's be clear, we are all here because we are fighting for a democracy and for the right of people to be heard and seen. We're not about the enemy within. We know we are all in this together. That's what we are fighting for. And my whole career,
Dictator Trump will destroy democracy by trying to enforce his Project 2025. Vice President Harris said, "I just introduced my agenda to help Puerto Rico."
Well, while he was at MSG yesterday, while he had the rally at MSG, and he had people up there insulting Puerto Ricans and black people and Jewish people, you was actually in Philly reaching out to the black and Latino community.
Yes, and it just turned out, Charlamagne, to be a real coincidence, but again, pointing out a stark contrast between he and I. Yes, I was in Philly meeting with leaders, many leaders in many communities, but including leaders in the Puerto Rican community, to talk with them about my longstanding commitment to Puerto Rico, to the people who live on that island, who have often been overlooked. In fact, they know, and we talked about the fact that even when I was in the United States Senate, knowing Puerto Rico doesn't have its own United States senator, I was a leader in making sure that we would get relief to people on the island when it came to the aftermath of Hurricane Maria. And what I shared with everyone is part of my opportunity economy, as you know, which is about lifting up people around home ownership and small businesses, that I will have a specific opportunity economy task force for Puerto Rico that will focus on the needs that they have in terms of fixing that electrical grid in Puerto Rico, and also bringing private sector investment together with government investment and nonprofit investment onto the island to help with job creation and sustainability for the island.
Kamala plans to do more than just throw towels at the Puerto Rican people. Vice President Harris said, "The United States is the greatest idea humanity ever devised."
America, we know what Donald Trump has in mind. More chaos, more division, and policies that help those at the very top and hurt everyone else. I offer a different path, and I ask for your vote. And here is my pledge to you. I pledge to seek common ground and common sense solutions to make your life better. I am not looking to score political points. I am looking to make progress. I pledge to listen to experts, to those who will be impacted by the decisions I make, and to people who disagree with me. Unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy. He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table. I pledge to you to approach my work with the joy and optimism that comes from making a difference in people's lives. And I pledge to be a president for all Americans. to always put country above party and self. I love our country with all my heart, and I believe in its promise because I've lived it. I grew up as a child of the civil rights movement. My parents would take me to marches in a stroller, where crowds of people of all races, faiths, and walks of life came together to fight for the ideals of freedom and opportunity. I've lived the promise of America. I saw how hard our mother worked to give her daughters the same chances this country gave her. Growing up, I was blessed to have family by blood and family by love, who instilled in me the values of community, compassion, and faith that have always defined our nation at its best. I've lived the promise of America. I've spent my life fighting for the people who have been hurt and counted out, but never stopped believing that in our country, anything is possible. I've lived the promise of America, and I see the promise of America in all of you. In all of you. I see it. I see it in the young people who are voting for the first time, who are determined to live free from gun violence and to protect our planet and to shape the world they inherit. I see it in the women who refuse to accept a future without reproductive freedom, and the men who support them. I see it in Republicans who have never voted for a Democrat before, but have put the Constitution of the United States over party. I've seen it in Americans different in many respects, but united in our pursuit of freedom, our belief in fairness and decency, and our faith in a better future. America, I know the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. I know it. And that's why I am in this race, to fight for the people just like I always have. Nearly 250 years ago, America was born when we wrested freedom from a petty tyrant. Across the generations, Americans have preserved that freedom, expanded it, and in so doing, proved to the world that a government of, by, and for the people is strong and can endure. And those who came before us, the patriots at Normandy and Selma, Seneca Falls and Stonewall, on farmlands and factory floors, they did not struggle, sacrifice, and lay down their lives only to see us cede our fundamental freedoms. They didn't do that only to see us submit to the will of another petty tyrant. These United States of America, we are not a vessel for the schemes of wannabe dictators. The United States of America is the greatest idea humanity ever devised. A nation big enough to encompass all our dreams, strong enough to withstand any fracture or fissure between us, and fearless enough to imagine a future of possibilities. So America, let us reach for that future. Let us fight for this beautiful country we love. And in 7 days, we have the power. Each of you has the power to turn the page and start writing the next chapter in the most extraordinary story ever told. I thank you all. God bless you. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Voting for Trump will create a country of chaos and division. Donald Trump's Project 2025 would rid the Department of Education and get rid of Head Start, Kamala said. Ratings and reviews can help the Black Man in America podcast reach a wider audience, and donations will improve the quality of our content. To donate, just click on the support the show link. Thank you.
I saw President Trump on a TV show, and he talked about defunding the Department of Education.
Yes.
Basically, we know that's going to affect communities like us that don't have the resources, and then because he says he doesn't. If they talked about slavery, which is a part of our history, it's
that they're trying to cover up.
Yes.
That they're trying to cover up.
They talk about racism, and he said, well, what we would do if they talked about it, they wouldn't get funding. And we know what communities are going to be most impacted by non-funding.
And understand that they want to get rid of the Department of Education and get rid of Head Start. You know whose kids are in Head Start? They want to, it is, and to your point, and I'm so glad you pointed this out, you know, these are the same people who basically suggested that enslaved people benefited from slavery. The same people who are trying to ban and are banning books.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if we don't teach America's full history, we will never ensure that we don't make the same.
Yes.
To do those same things again.
Let's learn from that painful part of our history to make sure we don't repeat it, but not by not covering it up. Let's have an open and honest conversation about it. It happened.
Trump calls black people dumb. Kamala said Donald Trump has spent a decade trying to keep people divided and afraid of each other.
Look, we know who Donald Trump is. He is the person who stood at this very spot nearly 4 years ago and sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol to overturn the will of the people in a free and fair election. An election that he knew he lost. Americans died as a result of that attack. 140 law enforcement officers were injured because of that attack. And while Donald Trump sat in the White House watching as the violence unfolded on television, he was told by his staff that the mob wanted to kill his own vice president. And Donald Trump responded with 2 words: so what? America, that's who Donald Trump is. And that's who is asking you to give him another 4 years in the Oval Office. Not to focus on your problems, but to focus on his. And Donald Trump has told us his priorities for a second term. He has an enemies list of people he intends to prosecute. He says that one of his highest priorities is to set free the violent extremists who insulted those law enforcement officers on January 6th. Donald Trump intends to to use the United States military against American citizens who simply disagree with him. People he calls, quote, the enemy from within. America, this is not a candidate for president who is thinking about how to make your life better. This is someone who is unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power. Donald Trump has spent a decade trying to keep the American people divided and afraid of each other. That is who he is. But America, I am here tonight to say that is not who we are. That is not who we are.
We have come too far to go back. Kamala said, if elected, on day one, I'd walk in with a to-do list.
On day one, if elected, Donald Trump would walk into that office with an enemies list. When elected, I will walk in with a to-do list. Full of priorities of what I will get done for the American people.
Trump is an angry man seeking revenge. Kamala Harris said, there's something about people being treated unfairly just gets to me.
Now look, let me say, I recognize this has not been a typical campaign. Even though I've had the honor of serving as your vice president for the last 4 years, I know that many of you are still getting to know who I am. Well, let me tell you, I am someone who has spent most of my career outside of Washington, D.C., so I know that not all the good ideas come from here. I am not afraid of tough fights against bad actors and powerful interests. Because for decades, as a prosecutor and a top law enforcement officer of our biggest state, I won fights against big banks that ripped off homeowners, against for-profit colleges that scammed veterans and students, against predators who abused women and children, and cartels that trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. And I did this work because for as long as I can remember, I have always had an instinct to protect. There's something about people being treated unfairly or overlooked that frankly just gets to me. I don't like it. It's what my mother instilled in me, a drive to hold accountable those who use their wealth or power to take advantage of other people. The drive to protect hardworking Americans who aren't always seen or heard and deserve a voice. And I will tell you that is the kind of president I will be. And look, I'll be honest with you, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. But here's what I promise you. I will always listen to you. Even if you don't vote for me. I will always tell you the truth, even if it is difficult to hear. I will work every day to build consensus and reach compromise to get things done. And if you give me the chance to fight on your behalf, there is nothing in the world that will stand in my way.
Unfair treatment of people, especially blacks, makes me angry. Kamala will never let Donald Trump repeal the Affordable Care Act.
You will pay even more if Donald Trump finally gets his way and repeals the Affordable Care Act, which would throw millions of Americans off their health insurance and take us back to when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. Well, we are not going back.
Donald Trump cannot be elected. Vice President Harris said, world leaders know that Trump is an easy mark.
As Commander-in-Chief, I will make sure America has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world. Donald Trump, on the other hand, has shown his contempt for our nation's heroes, calls them suckers and losers, called a 4-star Marine general a, quote, lowlife. I will always honor, never denigrate, the service and sacrifice of our troops and their families, and fulfill our sacred obligation to care for them. I will strengthen, not surrender, America's global leadership. And I will stand with our friends because I know that our alliances keep American people safe and make America stronger and more secure. Look, world leaders think that Donald Trump is an easy mark. Easy to manipulate with flattery or favor. And you can believe that autocrats like Putin and Kim Jong-un are rooting for him in this election. I will always uphold our security, advance our national interest, and ensure that the United States of America remains, as we must forever be, a champion of liberty around the world.
They tell Trump he's great and he's their puppet. Trump brags about throwing paper towels at Puerto Ricans.
I was there handing out food. I got in trouble for that too because we were having fun. We had a lot of people, and I was throwing paper towels to the back. They were all having fun. Everybody, and the fake news came. Oh, that was very disrespectful to be throwing towels. No, I have unbelievable good relationship with Puerto Rico and the Puerto Rican people.
That's all Trump did. Puerto Ricans suffered and had to beg Trump for help. Trump is confused.
But we're close to World War II because we have people in the White House that World War III. Thank you.
Trump's senility is in full-blown display. Trump said, I think with our little secret, we're going to do really well with the House.
And I think with our little secret, we're going to do really well with the House, right? Our little secret is having a big impact. He and I have a secret. We'll tell you what it is when the race is over.
Trump plans on stealing this election. Trump says insane stuff.
We have no choice but to absolutely replace Obamacare, and we're going to come up with a much better plan. We're going to come up with a great health plan, and this is a great plan. Wait till you see the plans we have coming out, literally, over the next 4 weeks. We have a plan coming out, an additional plan coming out in a very short period of time. We're going to have fantastic health care, and the plan is coming out over the next 4 weeks. We're signing a health care plan within 2 weeks.
9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. We really have a concept of the plan, and it'll be much better health care with the plan. Yeah, we'll be announcing that in about 2 months.
Can you commit to prioritizing legislation to make childcare affordable? And if so, what specific piece of legislation will you advance?
Well, I would do that, and we're sitting down. I was somebody. We had Senator Marco Rubio, and my daughter Ivanka was so impactful on that issue. It's a very important issue. But I think when you talk about the kind of numbers that I'm talking about, that because the child care is child care, it's something that have to happen. Your child goes to school and they don't even call you, and they change the sex of your child, perform sex change operation, and send them back home. Make the boy into a girl and not tell the parents. Your boy leaves the school, comes back a girl. It was a he and comes back a she. You say, Jimmy, I love you so much. Go have a good day at school. And your son comes back with a brutal operation, and often without parental consent. Can you even believe we're saying this? The windmills, they don't work. They're rusting and rotting. They're making a lot of noise. I can hear it for 2 miles away. They're destroying the country. If you want to see a lot of dead birds, go to a windmill and just look underneath. You'll see birds all over the place. It looks like a bird cemetery. They're killing the bald eagle and other eagles. And then they kill all the whales, right? They're driving the whales, I think, a little batty. And they say the noise causes cancer. You tell me how. Wow, wow, wow. The wind is bull. But if I'm sitting down and that boat's going down and I'm on top of a battery and the water starts flooding in, I'm getting concerned. But then I look 10 yards to my left and there's a shark over there. So I have a choice of electrocution or shark. You know what I'm going to take? Electrocution. I will take electrocution every single time. Do we agree? Hello, everyone. I have something incredible to share today. We are announcing the launch of Trump Coins. It's a really beautiful coffee table book. I'm doing my first official Donald J. Trump NFT collection right here and right now. My new book, Save America, is now available for order by popular demand. I'm doing a new series of Trump digital trading cards. These cards show me dancing and even me holding some Bitcoins. That's the real deal. That's the real deal. My last 2 Trump digital trading card collections sold out in just hours. And now I'm back with my latest series called the Mugshot Edition. Here it is. If you want to go out and get it, you can go out and get it. Have fun with it. My new Trump watches. That's a lot of diamonds. I love gold. I love diamonds. We all do. I think you all should get a copy of God Bless the USA Bible. Let's make America pray again. God bless you. And God bless the USA.
You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book. And you said, I think last night in Iowa, and some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what 1 or 2 of your most favorite Bible verses are.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal. So I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into...
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
You get to cite a verse that you like?
I don't want to do that.
An Old Testament guy or a New Testament?
Probably equal.
When you said, it's gone viral, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, you say you're just reporting what had been said. But why not say now, well, look, that turned out not to be true.
I don't know if it's true or not true. I read something.
You don't know if it's true or not true. It's been debunked by
the official. What about the geese? What about the geese? What happened there? I don't know. Howie. I have no idea. That's a story that was reported, and I said that. Why don't you go after the newspaper that wrote it? Don't blame me.
Well, I think it's been debunked by local officials.
I don't think it's been debunked at all. I think nobody talks about it except you. If I lose, I'll tell you what's possible. Because they cheat. That's the only way we're going to lose. They don't want voter ID because they want to cheat. They're trying to rig the vote through this crap they're doing. They cheat with ballots and they drop ballots and fake ballots. They're trying to rig it with this. This is their new form. I didn't rig it. They did. They are professional thieves when it comes to elections. I see the way they lie and the way they cheat.
How will the Democrats cheat in Pennsylvania?
About 12 different ways. So many ways. If you had all day, I could give you examples.
Those poor dummies on January 6th, they all went to prison because they believed him. And I get that politicians don't typically tell the truth. They exaggerate. But this is ridiculous. How could we have an election if whoever loses won't accept the results and think CBS should have its license revoked for an episode of 60 Minutes he didn't like? And who sides with Russia over the CIA and sent COVID equipment to Putin at the height of the pandemic when Americans couldn't even get it? Not to mention the 34 felony convictions. Will he be president from jail? I mean, how do you see that working? Listen, politics in a lot of ways is like sports. You probably just root for the team your dad roots for. Maybe you've been a Republican your whole life. That's your team, and it feels wrong not to root for them or to vote for them. But this time around, you wouldn't be alone. You have a lot of company because hundreds of prominent Republicans, including dozens of members of his own administration, generals, senators, his own chief of staff. I mean, Dick Cheney is all believe he is unfit to be president.
I know I'm not voting for him. Thanks for tuning in. As we head toward the 2024 election, remember the power of your voice and your vote. Stay sharp, stay vocal, and always keep pushing for a better tomorrow. And may God bless us all. Black Man in America podcast and OG Foxy production. Love and peace to us all.